Cash is safe. I keep my money in cash so I don't lose anything. It's what people say when they're scared of the stock market, when they don't trust banks, or when they just want to feel like their money is secure. And it makes sense on the surface. Cash doesn't go down. It doesn't crash. You can't lose it to a bad investment. It just sits there, safe and steady. But here's the reality. Cash is quietly killing your wealth. Inflation is eating your money every single day. Right now, inflation's running around 3% annually. That means if you have $10,000 in cash, after 1 year, it's only worth $9,700 in actual purchasing power. You didn't spend a cent, but you lost $300 anyway. Over 10 years, that same cash loses 20 to 30% of its value just sitting there. The number on the bills stays the same, but what you can buy with it shrinks. So while you think you're protecting your money by keeping it in cash, you're actually guaranteeing a loss. You're choosing the certainty of losing to inflation over the possibility of market risk. And that's the irony. People hold cash to avoid risk, but cash is the riskiest long-term position you can take. If you want your money to actually hold its value, it needs to be working, invested, growing. Cash has a purpose: emergencies, short-term needs, liquidity. But as a long-term strategy, it's financial self-sabotage. You should max out your 401k before anything else. Financial advisors love to say, max out that 401k. It's the advice that gets repeated everywhere. Contribute the maximum, get that tax advantage, secure your retirement. Sounds responsible, right? And in a lot of cases, it is. Retirement accounts are powerful. Tax-deferred growth, compound interest over decades, employer matching, all of that is great. But here's the reality. Maxing out your 401k isn't always the smartest first move. If you're sitting on high-interest debt, paying that off first makes way more sense. Think about it. Your credit card is charging you 20% interest. Your 401k might return 7% on average. You're losing 13% by prioritizing retirement over debt. The math doesn't work. You're bleeding money trying to build wealth at the same time. So, what's the smart order? Get your employer match first. That's free money. Don't leave it on the table. Then, tackle high-interest debt. After that, build an emergency fund so you're not forced to go back into debt when life happens. Once those boxes are checked, then you can think about maxing contributions. The point is, personal finance isn't one size fits all. What works for someone debt-free with stable income doesn't work for someone drowning in credit card payment. Maxing your 401k is a good goal, but it's not always step one. Gold is the safest investment. When everything crashes, gold holds value. It's the doomsday investor's favorite line. Stock market tanks? Gold's got you. Economy collapses? Gold's still there. It's been valuable for thousands of years, so it must be the safest bet, right? Gold has a place in history. It's been currency, jewelry, a store of value across civilizations, so the appeal makes sense. But here's the reality. Gold is not some guaranteed safe haven that protects your wealth. First off, gold is volatile. The price swings wildly. It can spike during crises, sure, but it can also drop hard and stay down for years. From 2011 to 2015, gold lost nearly 45% of its value. That's not stability. Second, gold produces nothing. It doesn't pay dividends. It doesn't generate income. It just sits there. You're betting entirely on someone else being willing to pay more for it later. Compare that to stocks. Over the long term, the stock market has crushed gold in returns. We're talking decades of data showing equities outperforming precious metals by a massive margin. So what is gold actually good for? It's a hedge, a small part of a diversified portfolio that can protect against inflation or currency collapse. But it's not your whole strategy. A car is an investment. I'm investing in a reliable vehicle. You hear this all the time. People justify dropping $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 on a car by calling it an investment, like it's going to pay them back somehow. And look, I get it. You need a car. It gets you to work. It's reliable. It's necessary. So it feels like you're putting your money into something valuable. But here's the reality. A car is not an investment. It's a depreciating expense. The second you drive that car off the lot, it loses value. We're talking 20 to 30% in the first year alone. You paid $40,000, and 12 months later, it's worth $28,000. That's not an investment. That's financial bleeding. Over the next few years, it keeps losing value. Maintenance costs go up. Repairs start piling on. Insurance, registration, gas, it's all money going out, never coming back. An investment is something that grows in value or generates income. Real estate can appreciate. Stocks pay dividends. Businesses produce profit. A car? A car just costs you money until you sell it for a fraction of what you paid. Now, are there exceptions? Sure, classic cars, collectible vehicles, rare models that actually appreciate over time. But let's be honest, you're not buying those. You're buying a Honda or a Toyota to get to work. So call it what it is, a necessary expense, a tool, a depreciating asset, but not an investment. Crypto is the future of money. Get in now or regret it forever. That's the battle cry. Cryptocurrency is going to replace traditional currency. Banks are going to collapse, and early adopters are going to be the new millionaires. You don't want to miss out, do you? And look, some people did get rich. The ones who bought Bitcoin at $1 and sold at 60,000. The early adopters who timed it perfectly. But here's the reality. For every success story, there are thousands of people who lost everything. Crypto is insanely volatile. It can swing 20% in a single day. One tweet from a billionaire can crash the market. Regulatory crackdowns can wipe out entire coins overnight. That's not currency behavior, that's casino behavior. And actual real-world use? Still extremely limited. You can't pay your rent in Bitcoin. Most businesses don't accept it. Transaction fees can be absurd. It's slow, it's clunky, and for everyday purchases, it's basically useless. So what is crypto actually? It's a speculative asset. Maybe it has a future in finance. Maybe blockchain technology changes things long term. But right now, it's gambling, not investing. If you want to throw some money at it, fine. Treat it like a lottery ticket. Only bet what you can afford to lose entirely. But if you're sitting there thinking crypto is going to replace the dollar and make you rich, you're not investing, you're hoping. You need a financial advisor to invest. Investing seems complicated, so you need to pay an expert, right? The stock market, bonds, asset allocation, rebalancing, it all sounds like a foreign language. Surely regular people can't navigate this without professional help. And that's exactly what the financial industry wants you to think. For most people, investing is absurdly simple. You don't need someone in a suit to do it for you. Index funds and ETFs make it brain dead easy. You buy one fund and you're instantly invested in hundreds or thousands of companies across the entire market. No stock picking, no timing, no complexity. A target date fund does even more. It automatically adjusts your portfolio as you get closer to retirement. You literally set it and forget it. So why do people still hire advisors? Because the industry has convinced everyone it's too hard to do alone. But here's the cost. Financial advisors typically charge 1 to 2% of your assets annually. That sounds small, but over 30 years, that fee can cost you hundreds of thousands of dollars in lost returns. Now, when do you need a financial advisor? Complex estate planning, business transitions, managing huge amounts of wealth, tax optimization across multiple accounts. That's when expertise actually matters. But if you're just trying to invest for retirement, a low-cost index fund does the job for a fraction of the price. You don't need permission to manage your own money. You need money to make money. The classic excuse for why you're not investing yet. I'll start when I have more saved up. I'll invest when I can actually afford it. You need money to make money, right? It's the line people use to justify waiting, and it sounds reasonable. Investing feels like something for people with thousands sitting around, people who've already figured everything out. But here's the reality. You can start investing with $5. Literally $5. Fractional shares changed the game. You don't need to buy a whole share of Amazon or Apple anymore. You can buy a piece of one. Apps like Robinhood, Fidelity, and Vanguard let you invest whatever you've got, even if it's pocket change. And here's why starting small matters more than starting big. Compound interest doesn't care how much you start with. It cares about time. If you invest $50 a month starting at $25, by the time you're 65, that's over $150,000. Assuming average market returns. Wait until you're 35 to start, even if you're investing more per month, and you'll never catch up to the person who started earlier with less. The mistake people make is thinking the amount matters more than the habit. Start small, stay consistent. Let time do the heavy lifting. You don't need money to make money. You just need to start. You need a credit card to build credit. Everyone says, get a credit card or you'll have no credit score. You turn 18, and suddenly everyone's telling you the same thing. Get a credit card. Start building credit. You'll need it for everything. And look, it sounds logical. Credit cards report to credit bureaus. They show you can handle borrowed money. And over time, that builds your credit history. So the thinking goes, No credit card equals no credit score equals you're screwed. But here's the reality. Credit cards aren't the only way to build credit. Not even close. Your rent payments? Those can report to credit bureaus now through services like Rental Karma. You're already paying it anyway, so why not get credit for it? Utility bills and phone bills can help build your credit history through programs like Experian Boost. Those on-time payments you've been making for years can actually count toward your score. Then there are credit builder loans. You borrow a small amount, the bank holds it, you make payments, and by the end, you get the money back with a credit history built. You can become an authorized user on someone else's card. Their good payment history gets reported to your credit without you even using the card. Student loans, car loans, personal loans, all of these report to credit bureaus and build your history. So the truth? Credit cards are one tool. A useful one, sure, but they're not the only way in. Renting is throwing money away. Your parents probably told you renting is just making someone else rich. It's the advice that gets passed down like some universal truth. Stop wasting money on rent. Buy a house. Build equity. At least you'll own something. And on the surface, it makes sense. When you rent, you pay every month and walk away with nothing. When you buy, that monthly payment goes towards something you own. Sounds like a no-brainer, right? But here's the reality. Buying a house costs way more than just the mortgage. You've got property taxes that never stop, homeowners insurance, maintenance and repairs that come out of nowhere, the roof needs replacing, the furnace dies, the plumbing breaks, and all of that is on you. Then there's the down payment. That's tens of thousands of dollars up front that could have been invested elsewhere, growing over time. In many markets, when you actually run the numbers, renting and investing the difference beats homeownership by a lot. You're not throwing money away. You're buying flexibility and liquidity. Plus, if you're not staying in one place for at least 5 to 7 years, the closing costs and transaction fees wipe out any equity you might have built. So when does buying make sense? When you're settled, when the market supports it, and when you actually want the responsibility. You can time the market. Buy low, sell high. Sounds simple enough, right? Sell everything, then buy back in at the bottom. You'll make a fortune. That's the dream. And it's exactly what millions of people try to do. They watch the news, follow trends, read predictions, and convince themselves they can outsmart the market. But here's the reality. You can't. And neither can the professionals. Study after study shows that even expert fund managers with entire teams of analysts fail at timing the market consistently. The ones who get it right once, they rarely get it right twice. It's basically luck disguised as skill. And here's the kicker. Missing just the 10 best days in the market over a 20-year period can cut your returns in half. Think about that. 10 days out of thousands, and your entire strategy falls apart. The problem is, those best days usually happen right after the worst day. So if you panic and sell during a crash, you miss the recovery. You lock in losses and miss the gains. The data is clear. Time in the market beats timing the market every single time. So what actually works? Dollar cost averaging. Buying consistently, whether the market's up or down. Staying invested long term. Ignoring the noise. You're not smarter than the market. Nobody is. Stop trying to beat it and just ride it. Paying off your mortgage early is always smart. Being debt-free sounds like the dream, right? No more monthly payments, you own your home outright, financial freedom. So naturally, you should throw every extra dollar at your mortgage and pay it off as fast as possible. And emotionally, that feels amazing. There's real psychological value in owning your home free and clear. But here's the reality. Mathematically, it's not always the smartest move. If your mortgage rate is 3% and you can invest that money and get an average return of 8%, you're losing money by paying off the mortgage early. That extra payment could be growing elsewhere, earning you way more than you're saving in interest. It's called opportunity cost. Every dollar you put toward your mortgage is a dollar that's not compounding in the market for the next 20 or 30 years. Now, when does paying off your mortgage early make sense? When rates are high, when you're close to retirement and want stability, when the peace of mind is worth more to you than the potential returns. That's the thing. Sometimes the wrong financial choice is the right personal choice. If being debt-free lets you sleep better at night, that has value too. But if you're making extra payments just because it sounds responsible, run the actual numbers first. You might be sacrificing hundreds of thousands in long-term growth for the feeling of security today. Student loans are good debt. It's an investment in your future. That's what they tell you when you're 18, signing loan documents for tens of thousands of dollars. Education, pays off. A degree opens doors. Student loans are good debt because they're helping you earn more later. And sometimes that's true. Sometimes. But here's the reality. It depends entirely on the degree, the school, and the career field you're going into. An engineering degree with $30,000 in debt, that can work. You graduate, get a solid paying job, pay it off in a few years, and move on with your life. An art history degree with $200,000 in debt from a private university, that's financial suicide. You're starting your career already drowning, and the income isn't there to justify it. The trap is that student loans follow you forever. You can't discharge them in bankruptcy. They don't go away. Miss payments, and they'll garnish your wages. Default, and your credit is destroyed. So the real calculation isn't, is college worth it? It's, is this degree from this school at this cost worth it compared to what I'll actually earn? Because a $100,000 education that leads to a $40,000 salary isn't an investment, it's a trap. Student loans can be good debt if the numbers make sense, but too many people take on massive debt without ever running those numbers, and by the time they realize the math doesn't work, it's too late.